As I took down my camp and drove into the Black Hills, I couldn't help but think about the contradictions in this place. Areas of breathtaking beauty that hold stories of a dark past.
You know, in its own way, I think it's really kind of fascinating how something as simple as a creek, you know, this beautiful flowing water that you see here, can be part of the recipe for what made the Black Hills such a source of conflict in the past, acting as a source of gold from further upstream, where people would bring their gold pans and hope to find bits and pieces of gold, in part just for the gold itself, but also for the potential riches that lay elsewhere in the mountains. And so, as beautiful as the creeks are, they were the source for a great deal of conflict and the thing that kept driving people in to settle the Black Hills. Beautiful, but it has a complicated history, like most of the stuff out here.
The Crazy Horse Monument, under construction since 1948, depicts the famed Lakota commander Crazy Horse, who played a pivotal role in the Great Sioux War of 1876. To understand what led to that war and the eventual resettlement of the tribes that held the Black Hills sacred into reservations, we need to understand the history of gold in the Black Hills. In 1874, General Custer's expedition into the Black Hills reported the discovery of gold. Soon countless thousands swarmed into the hills to seek their riches, including the Gordon Party, who created the defensive Gordon Stockade, a replica of which can be found where it once stood in the town of Custer. Though the occupants of the stockade were removed by the military and ejected from the Black Hills, any pretense of maintaining the treaty that guaranteed the Black Hills to the Lakota vanished by the end of 1875, and soon after, the Great Sioux War to defend the tribal right to the sacred Black Hills had begun. With the conflict that occurred over the right to the Black Hills still fresh in my mind, I decided once again to escape the tourist-filled roads and go into the Bear Gulch Trail. The Black Hills in the fall are utterly astonishing, a strange junction of worlds where mountain pines meet radiantly yellow and orange trees on the grasslands.
You know, one thing I'm finding that I really love about this journeying I'm doing and this vagabond existence is experiencing the nature places in a deep level that I've never really experienced before. You know, being able to hike some miles into this section of the Black Hills and just see these ecosystems that in some way are familiar and in other ways are so radically different than I'm used to. You know, there's just these beautiful colored mountains and just below the valley floor, and it's fall, and so you have these just amazing trees changing their colors, and just this mix of things together is just such a unique, amazing place. And this is something that I just would not have experienced otherwise. And there could be many, many, many months of this, of going to new places throughout the US and discovering the nature of places in a way that just makes me profoundly grateful and profoundly happy that I'm lucky enough to be able to share these things with you all. It's just a blast.
When on your own, away from the chaos of tourist activity, the Black Hills seem to most truly come to life.
Well, that was pretty awesome and unexpected. Just turned around over there, and on that rock face, there was several bighorn sheep. It looked like a ram, at least one female, some of the young sheep as well. That was awesome. I was definitely not expecting to see that, and they're out here. Just a nice little, beautiful wildlife bonus on this pretty amazing hike. Just as I was saying that, I saw that female up on the cliff ledge overlooking the distance. That almost feels staged. What an amazing moment. It's just kind of one of those things that just puts a giant grin on my face and just almost takes my breath away. Just this animal on the edge of this cliff looking out into the horizon. What an astonishing moment. That's incredible. Alright, well, last day at the Black Hills, and I think I'm going to end this particular section of my journey with a very special site. This is a mountain called Bear Butte in the Black Hills, and it's a place that's held sacred by several native tribes, including the Lakota and the Northern Cheyenne, which are the tribe that I've grown up next to a lot of my life, and my parents teach at the tribal college down there. So it's a very special, fascinating site, and a place that I just want to spend the kind of last leg of my time in the Black Hills exploring and just kind of seeing the landscape and just getting some sense for why it's such a special place.
Bear Butte is a profoundly sacred mountain to many native tribes. In the Cheyenne story, it is a site where Sweet Medicine met with the Great Spirit in the mountain, who provided him the knowledge of how the tribe could live peacefully together, and gave him 4 sacred arrows that the Cheyenne carried with them for many years, which were used to provide good luck in hunts and war. To the Lakota, it is a place with profound connections to the sun and stars and the cycles that guide their existence. Prayer flags from tribal peoples can be found hanging from trees throughout the mountain. When hiking, I had the intense feeling that I was a guest on the mountain, and can deeply sense why it was such a special place to many. On multiple occasions, I felt compelled to stop and listen to the mountain in its own silent language. After filming the next 2 trail guides in the spectacular Badlands National Park, I stopped by Devil's Tower to end my journeys in the Black Hills. Devil's Tower, called Bear Lodge by the Lakota, is a spectacular tower of rock, the remnants of an ancient magma chamber that hardened while the softer land around it wore away over the ages. Devil's Tower, like Bear Butte, is a sacred site to the Lakota and is thought to have profound connections to the broader universe and would guide the activities of the Lakota throughout the year. A story common to a great number of Plains tribes for the origins of Devil's Tower involves a giant bear who was chasing a group of people. As they entered the Black Hills, they prayed to the Great Spirit to rescue them from their pursuer, and the tower of rock shot them towards the sky away from the bear. The deep lines formed by the columns of rock were said to be the claw marks of this bear, who clawed at its surface in a fruitless attempt to get to the people. At Devil's Tower, there are 2 trails, one paved close to the tower, and one much longer loop that gives spectacular views of the surrounding landscape. This trail has fewer people and is my preferred way of experiencing the place.
Somewhat regretting forgetting to bring my boots on this trail. It's not too bad, it's just like this extra, level of things that you need to think about. You have to be more careful with your stepping and where you're putting your feet to avoid rolling your ankle and putting yourself out of commission. Still, small price to pay. Incredible place. Well, this is why they call it the Red Rocks Trail. Look at all that. I just love this sudden transition into this kind of red world when before you're walking through just like the standard tans and browns. Different geologic formation, different ages through life in the rock.
The red rocks the trail follows were made by ancient coastal and near-coastal water systems, just before and after the largest mass extinction to affect life on our planet, where 96% of all marine species and 70% of all land species ceased to be, which allowed the age of dinosaurs to begin. Being lopsided, it was fascinating how the appearance of the tower changed when viewed from different sides along the trail. But no matter the angle, it's an amazing place, and I was grateful to wander and wonder around it.
I think one of the most mind-blowing things about Devil's Tower is that the top of the surface is actually its own little ecosystem. There's lots of sagebrush and cacti and grasses, all these kind of dry plains type plants, and even, and this is especially mind-blowing, mammals to go with it. There are chipmunks that will kind of hang out on the edges of the place, and it's its own kind of little mini universe, this island trapped up high in the sky, and with kind of blissful little awareness of how high up they really are and what waits beneath them.